As you can tell slightly, we're past Labor Day, so hopefully it'll cool down. Right now it's raining, which means it's humid. So with the air conditioner off and the fans off, so you don't have to listen to them blazing in the background. I may be sweating just a little bit, so we will make this short. I talk about this during the video. This one took a while. A lot of thinking. Not a lot of thinking, but just pondering stuff. Apologies for that. Make sure the next one's quicker. Two books that I do mention during it that I've been reading lately is Kandinsky's Concerning the Spiritual and Art. This was the one that really I thought about a lot as I was working on this one. And then the other one that I talk about is Paul Klee, Painting Music. Not even going to try to pronounce that name down there. Let's get the umlauts and yeah. Not going to be so great. So yeah, it's hot, it's humid. I have a lot of stuff to do. But thank you all so much for actually tuning in to my drivel. I'm as amazed and grateful as ever. And yeah, that's it. I'll talk to you later. Love you all. Bye. Been a long time no see. That's entirely my fault. I take full responsibility. I've been kind of considering more about the layout, which, doing stupid talking animal comics, which I love that they're the most degenerated of comics out there. Degenerated? I may have to look that word up. It may not mean what you think it means. But yeah, like I said in the beginning, I was reading Kandinsky's Concerning the Spiritual and Art. And once again, going back to that idea of how to suggest the most with the fewest line. I don't know. Seems like the way to experiment with things is to experiment in the venues and avenues that are the most ignored. There's a lot of freedom in that. Once again, that kind of goes back to Maya Daren's article in the defense of being an amateur that I've talked about before. Great freaking article. I think it should be emblazoned everywhere. The more I do these, I like the relaxed grip on the nib holder to kind of give you those sketchy lines. Is even though it's hot press paper, you still, the tip of a comic Z nib will still catch and skip due to the nature of the paper itself. Not as much as if you're using like a rough or a cold press, but it's still there. I will probably start experimenting around doing more on rough and cold press paper, simply because it's fun. But so far the hot press has been cheap, which is strange. Yeah, and I never would have thought in a million years I'd begin lifted and exploring the properties of paper, its weight and sizing and all that stuff. It's a fun rabbit hole to go down, but it's not entirely expected. But I do like, as I was, for I digress, Burroughs was so right there, I do like alternating between how few lines can you use to represent something and then going with a whole lot of them. I like that back and forth. Now, when I put all four of these together on a page, as I do for the Bandcamp downloads, so they have a PDF of it, because normally this is posted to Instagram and Twitter, which is why I've stuck with this format for the size of each panel and the way it is, because you read each one of those one at a time. But when they're all on a single PDF page in that 2x2 grid, then I was like, I have 2 primarily browns on the left, 2 primarily greens, lighter shade blues on the right. Probably should have figured out a way to like angle them. Don't know why, it seems like it would be more balanced. But yeah, there's something else to get lifted and think about, is not only how do they work individually, but how do they work when put into a 2x2 grid. This is why God made we children, so you can get fascinated by very mundane and banal consideration. And a huge shout out to my friend Laura Jane. I've mentioned her on here before, but I've been kind of sloth crazy for the past couple of months, and she's had to deal with me sending her pictures and videos of sloths on Instagram all the time. So, thank you, Laura Jane, for letting me share pictures of baby sloths. And this was what I found fascinating in Kandinsky's book, where he talked about green being the most restful color, but too much green ends up exciting. And the thing I love about Kandinsky, yet another theosophist that was involved, with abstract art, much like Helmholtz, Klimt, that type of thing. So part of that rich tradition. But I always like it when you have them, or people like Goethe and his theory of color, where it's not just reduced to the scientific reasoning behind it. They're responding more emotionally to what's going on, I guess, or I guess it's theoretical, but based on these ideas of spiritualism. And yeah, Kandinsky goes into a whole thing about how some colors are extropic and they spiral outwards, your warmer colors, and then your colder colors are entropic and they pull inwards towards their center. Yeah, there's a whole lot in there that my bear of limited intelligence self, we're just not gonna fully comprehend what he was working with. I'm good with that. But it is fun to play around with it, just thinking about when you're doing these. I mean, like I said, it's a stupid talking animal comic. Everything's free at this point. Alan Moore, you were so freaking right. And you can see that watercolor confection palette. The complexion one is what I'm using there. Yeah, it's so good. And when I was planning on bringing Sloth Elliott into this, once again, I wanted to have just a base color that was associated with him, and researching the different grays that are available, just as a base one to run with him. That was the one that most closely matched Sloth Elliott, who's on our Kelp Bed, the stuffed animal that Sloth Elliott is based off. So I like doing that, where each one of them has their own color or colors associated with them, but then you're not trying to color match what's already been done, because yes, anybody can make a gray, but there's so many variations on gray, which that's the other thing. I'm reading a book on Paul Klee and his ideas of painting music, and he has a lot of brilliant exercises, smaller works, where he explores how colors, especially watercolors and very thin washes of oil colors, when they're laid over the top of each other to produce that gray, how those vary in the color tones. It's a great book. Like I said, read. Once again, huge thanks to all my D&D players who surprised me with the gift set of the Shminkes. I know I'm not utilizing them to their full potential, but hey, he's a start. And it looks like we're pulling down to the end, so once again, thank you. There's definitely a documentary review coming up shortly, but I just wanted to get this knocked out and out of there because, yeah, it's late. All apologies for that, and I will see you cats next week. Love you all, bye.